got no guard. Guards do not look after street. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail for that pistol. I knew he was going. He going to jail. All that newborn baby. Boosie won't get to see that newborn baby till that baby be walking and talking. Boosie going to jail.
Well, Charleston White was celebrating you taking the plea deal. I think he even said he hopes you die in jail and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard.
The biggest thing right now was that you actually accepted a plea deal for your federal gun case.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been like fighting this thing from the very, very beginning?
I've been fighting for probably 3 years now, probably.
3 years.
When it comes to rap beefs, few rivalries are as messy and entertaining as the one between Boosie Badazz and Charleston White. What started as a few internet shots has now turned into a full-blown circus, with Charleston clowning Boosie every chance he gets, even while Boosie is fighting one of the biggest legal battles of his career. Right now, Boosie is facing the possibility of up to 10 years in prison after his federal gun case got refiled in 2024. And instead of showing sympathy, Charleston White is celebrating, trolling, and even saying he hopes Boosie dies in jail. The situation blew up in June 2024. Boosie had already been arrested earlier in the year for gun possession, but the case was dismissed once before. He thought he was clear, but federal prosecutors weren't letting him walk that easy. They refiled the charges, hitting him again with the same case. This time, the stakes were higher, and the courtroom pressure was real. Boosie eventually took a plea deal, admitting guilt in exchange for a lighter shot at sentencing. Still, the reality was harsh. The judge could hand him as much as a decade behind bars. For Boosie, the weight of it all showed. He went online, posting emotional messages about being tired of fighting, tired of courtrooms, and leaving it all in God's hands. Fans could feel the pain in his words. This wasn't the usual tough talk. This was a man who'd been battling the system his entire life, now looking worn down. The irony? Just as Boosie was trying to keep his head up, Charleston White was waiting in the wings, ready to kick him while he was down. Charleston jumped online with his usual antics, going live and clowning Boosie. He laughed about the plea deal, said Boosie was finished, and even pushed the line further, claiming he hoped Boosie wouldn't make it out of prison alive. For most people, that would sound outrageous. But for Charleston, that's his brand, trolling rappers, disrespecting legends, and weaponizing controversy to stay in the headlines. And when it comes to Boosie, he takes the disrespect to another level. Their beef goes back to 2022, when Charleston first trolled Boosie over Kanye West's White Lives Matter shirt. Boosie criticized Ye, and Charleston fired back by mocking Boosie for always speaking out on issues he couldn't control. From there, it snowballed. Charleston didn't just go at Boosie, he dragged Boosie's son Tootie Raw into the mix, mocking him online and even claiming he called the cops on him. At the same time, Charleston was clowning T.I.'s son, King Harris, telling the world he'd get both kids locked up if they kept moving reckless. The fact that Charleston was willing to attack people's children took the beef to a level most rappers wouldn't even touch. By the time Boosie's federal case came back in 2024, Charleston had already branded himself as his #1 troll. Every update about Boosie's court dates turned into Charleston's comedy routine. While Boosie stayed calm, refusing to say Charleston's name, the tension was obvious. Charleston wanted Boosie to respond, but Boosie knew better. One wrong word could be twisted in court, and Charleston would love nothing more than to use it as fuel. Now with Boosie's freedom on the line, Charleston White is acting like it's his championship parade. And fans are wondering, is Charleston just a loudmouth chasing clout? Or is he actually dangerous to Boosie's future?
Boosie going to jail! Oh, God is good. I keep telling y'all, street got no guard. Guards do not look after street. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail for that pistol. I knew he was going. I just was waiting.
To really understand why Charleston White's attacks sting, you gotta know who he is and how he moves. Unlike most internet trolls, Charleston wears his snitch label with pride. He's told the story himself. At 14, he testified in a juvenile case and helped put people behind bars. Instead of hiding from it, he flipped it into his persona. He calls himself the OG snitch, and he uses that energy to bait rappers into beefing with him. He knows the culture worships street codes, So he makes fun of it, mocking rappers for pretending to be gangsters while daring them to touch him. Because if they do, he's calling the cops instantly. That's exactly what he's tried to do with Boosie. Charleston's whole angle is to push Boosie to the edge, hoping he'll snap and say or do something incriminating. He constantly reminds people that Boosie already beat a murder trial back in 2012, and that the feds would love to catch him slipping again. By trolling him during this federal gun case, Charleston is basically trying to turn Boosie's legal battle into his own personal stage. And Charleston don't just go after Boosie directly, he drags the family in too. He's posted videos mocking Tootie Raw, calling him soft and saying he'll never live up to his father. He's claimed to call police on him, bragging about getting rappers' kids in trouble before they even get started. With T.I.'s son, King Harris, Charleston went the same route, clowning his tough guy act and promising he'd end up in prison. This is what makes him different. He doesn't just beef with rappers, he beefs with their kids. That's why so many people call him the most disrespectful figure in hip-hop commentary right now. Boosie, on the other hand, has tried to play it cool. He knows Charleston's game. He knows responding with threats or violence only feeds the fire. Charleston wants Boosie to lose control because that's when the law can swoop in. So Boosie stayed mostly quiet, focusing on his case instead of the clown online. But make no mistake, the tension between the two is real. Every time Charleston celebrates another setback in Boosie's case, it feels like a slap in the face. What's wild is how Charleston has managed to build a fan base off this behavior. Some people actually love the chaos. They say he's exposing rappers who glamorize violence while proving they can't touch him without risking prison time. To others, he's just a bitter man chasing clout by disrespecting legends who actually live the life he mocks. Either way, his voice is loud, and when he aims it at someone like Boosie, it can't be ignored. Now, with Boosie's plea deal signed and sentencing around the corner, Charleston is louder than ever. He's posting skits, cracking jokes, and acting like Boosie's downfall is his victory parade. And while most rappers would ignore him, the truth is his trolling could have real consequences in how people, even judges, view Boosie's case.
I mean, I can't respond to that because once I see a man go up there and say he gonna put your in prison, even if you threaten him or say something about him and he's got facts to where he's put people in prison, I can't take a chance of getting involved with that.
Well, listen, I don't want anything to happen.
He's like, I'm gonna call. I seen him on some shit. He gonna call somebody. PO.
Oh yeah, no, he calls people. He gets people arrested for threats and stuff like that. But I'm not threatening.
For Boosie, this legal fight is nothing new. His whole life has been a war with the system. Back in 2010, he was indicted on first-degree murder charges, accused of ordering a hit on a man named Terry Boyd. The trial had Boosie facing the death penalty, and for a while it looked like his career and life were over. But in 2012, after years of fighting, he was acquitted. That victory turned him into a street legend, someone who beat a murder case when the odds were stacked against him. But even after that, the law never stopped circling. Boosie's been arrested for weed, weapons, and parole violations more times than fans can count. He spent years behind bars already, and every time he tries to rebuild his career, another case seems to pop up. That's why this current gun case cuts so deep. It feels like deja vu. Like no matter how much success he finds, the system won't let him breathe. Charleston White knows his history, and he weaponizes it. He constantly reminds people of Boosie's past, saying the rapper's fake tough because he's one step away from getting locked up again. When the plea deal news broke, Charleston mocked Boosie for finally admitting he was guilty. He joked about sending him a care package in prison, complete with cigarettes and soap, just to humiliate him further. But here's the twist. Not everyone is laughing with Charleston. Plenty of fans feel like Boosie is being targeted unfairly. They point out how the case was dismissed once before, only to be refiled like the prosecutors were determined to get him no matter what. They see Charleston's trolling as adding insult to injury, kicking a man who's already been through enough. In their eyes, Charleston isn't exposing the truth. He's just exploiting another black man's struggle with the system. Boosie himself has been open about how drained he feels. His posts around the plea deal were emotional, raw, and unfiltered. He said he was tired of courtrooms, tired of fighting cases, and was leaving it all in God's hands. For someone as fiery as Boosie, that kind of honesty hit fans hard. It showed the weight of decades of battles, from the streets of Baton Rouge to the federal courthouse. And while Charleston laughs, Boosie's silence speaks louder. He knows anything he says could come back to haunt him. If he threatens Charleston or even acknowledges him, it becomes ammo. Instead, he's letting Charleston bark while he tries to navigate the system one more time. But the big question remains, with Charleston making noise, will Boosie's image, the one of a survivor, a fighter, a legend, be tarnished in the eyes of fans? Or will he come out of this looking stronger than ever?
I wasn't gonna go to trial with it from the dump, actually, but I feel like this the right move for me. You know, I trust in God, Black. A lot of things this case has stopped me from doing, traveling all across the world, making. So I just want to get it over with, and, you know, accept my guilty plea. I'm ready to get over it.
Anything you want to say to your fans?
Just say a prayer for me. I just need prayer. I don't need nothing else.
Now we're at the crossroads. Boosie's plea deal is done and the sentencing is coming soon. The judge has the power to hand him anything from probation to 10 years in prison. Meanwhile, Charleston White is acting like it's already over, throwing victory laps online, mocking Boosie's family, and framing himself as the man who finally outlasted a street legend. The irony is, Charleston has no real power in Boosie's case, but his voice is so loud that it shapes the narrative. Every time he goes live, blogs repost it. Every joke about Boosie being a washed-up convict spreads across Instagram and TikTok, and in today's culture, perception matters almost as much as the truth. Judges, prosecutors, and juries see these narratives too. Charleston knows that, and he plays into it every chance he gets. For Boosie, the fight isn't just against the law anymore. It's about protecting his legacy. He's always been more than just another Southern rapper. He's a symbol of survival, of beating impossible odds, of being raw and unfiltered in a game that thrives on image. If he does time again, that legacy could take a hit. But if he makes it out, he could flip this moment into another chapter of his legend, proof that no matter how many times the system tries to bury him, he won't stay down. Charleston, on the other hand, will keep trolling regardless. That's who he is. Even if Boosie gets a light sentence or walks free, Charleston will spin it, claiming credit for putting pressure on him. To Charleston, it's all about clout. To Boosie, it's about survival. That's the difference between them. Fans are split. Some laugh at Charleston's antics, saying rappers like Boosie need to be humbled. Others see Charleston as a clown who profits off other people's pain. But one thing everybody agrees on, this rivalry has become one of the wildest sagas in hip-hop. It's not just words, it's legal cases, family drama, and reputations on the line. At the end of the day, the story of Boosie versus Charleston White shows just how messy the culture can get. You've got a rapper fighting for his freedom, a troll celebrating his downfall, and millions of fans watching like it's a reality show. But behind the jokes and the headlines, there's a real man who might lose years of his life, and another who'll do anything to stay relevant. Boosie's next chapter will be written in the courtroom, not on Instagram. Charleston's will be written in the comment sections and blogs. But no matter how it plays out, their feud has already cemented itself as one of the most explosive and ugliest in the game.